So I'm going to go ahead and get us started because this is, lunchtime for some people. I know some people are joining us from different parts of the country, potentially different parts of the world. So I do want to make sure that I respect your time. We're going to go ahead and get started. And team members, if you can start monitoring and letting folks in, I'm going to let in. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. So my name is Patrice Davis. I am with GrantsWorks. I'm the CEO of GrantsWorks. And today we're going to talk about the Global Grant Collective, something that I'm very, very excited to share with you guys about. And so, of course, we're going to talk about your community, your next level, your world expanded. So let's go ahead and get this started. I'm going to go off screen because I want you guys to focus on what I'm saying, not on me. So I'm going to go off screen now and let's go ahead and minimize that. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. So let's move this here as well. So just before we get started, though, I want to make sure you guys know a little bit about GrantsWorks. So for just in case you guys have never participated in any of our webinars, and I do recognize a few people who participated in our webinars in the past, we are GrantsWorks. We are a grant consulting firm. We specialize in federal grants, but also, of course, provide services for private sector grants, grants from corporations and other types of private entities. Our services help organizations strengthen their capacity to compete, secure funding for program services and innovation, and integrate systems-based grant management processes into their operations. So a little bit about the team. We have team members on that have both experience in pre and post-award management of a grant, and we've also obtained and managed grants, primarily federal grants, as a recipient, subrecipient, and pass-through entities. So if you have any experience with federal grants, you know there's some differences there in the perspective and the responsibilities. Grant management training, we've developed federal grant management training for a federal agency that's very highly rated, consistently rated 4.7 out of 5 stars by now, over 900 learners around the world. We develop training for our clients. We develop training and host them and deliver that training at maybe our clients' annual convenings or their business meetings. So grant management, specifically federal grant management, any type of government management training, that's our specialty. We are an SBA certified woman-owned small business, and speaking is something that we enjoy doing, making sure that organizations understand a little bit more about what their federal grants require. I won't go into this long list. Just know that I have 18 years of experience managing federal and other government grants. I'm a former CDC public health analyst, and of course a fiscal consultant during monitoring visits of state agencies. Quite a bit of experience managing grants for smaller nonprofits, large nonprofits that provided services within the U.S., and nonprofits that provided services outside of the country. And of course, I've also managed grants as a research program manager at Georgia Tech. So I've seen federal grants from different perspectives. All right, so let's get into some more details. So this is our core service team. Again, we have both pre and post award consultants on our team, folks that specialize in grant accounting, internal controls, and then of course of the folks that that have specialties in subrecipient monitoring and anything having to do with federal grants, and of course federal grant policies and procedures. All right, so let's go ahead and keep it moving. So first thing we're going to do is launch a poll. We want to know a little bit more about who is in the audience. So that's that first poll. We want to know, what is your role in the grant profession? What do you do? Are you a grant writer, post award specialist, such as a grant manager or a grant administrator? Are you a grant maker? Are you a sponsored research specialist? And so these are folks, for those of you who may not know, universities typically have sponsored research or sponsored programs teams that offer both pre and post award support to their faculty. And, that's an industry, a sub industry, so to speak, in the grant world, because of course these programs could be sponsored by a federal agency, right? Their programs and research could be sponsored by a federal agency and even by a private funder, right? Or are you a grant evaluator or a government grant official or grant consultant? All right, so let's keep saying we've got 22 people so far, 18, waiting for like one other person to participate. All right, more folks are coming in. And for those of you who are joining, there is a poll. If you can go ahead and please answer the poll. Lots more folks are coming in. For those of you that are coming in, please join. I'm going to let that poll run for maybe 10 more seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. And it says invalid poll IDs. Let's make sure. But we still have some information here. So it looks like the majority of you are grant writers, and we do the second biggest quantity are post-award specialists. No grant makers have joined the call. We do have a sponsored research specialist, and of course a government grant official, and 4 grant consultants. Happy to see that. And then other. So does anyone want to let us know about who they are as an other? I'm going to just let you please unmute yourself and just let me know who you are as that other, one of the others. Anyone want to tell us? If not, we're going to just keep it moving. I'm going to go ahead and close that poll down.
I'll step up. I didn't put other, but I am one of the others because I'm an executive director who's trying to learn more about the grant writing, excuse me.
Oh, no problem. Thank you so much, Malcolm. I appreciate it. All right, so I'm going to tell you a little bit more. So these are some of our clients. So we've worked with, as I said, different types of organizations, state and local government agencies, nonprofits. We love working with nonprofits, and of course, colleges and universities. One of the things that, for those of you who have never participated in our webinars before, is we used to offer monthly webinars every single month. So for 2025, we offered webinars. For 2024, we offered webinars about 7 months out of the year. And so we have done webinars on grant writing. So in January of last year, when we learned that there were these restricted words that we couldn't use anymore, one of the grant writers on our team, hosted a webinar called Surprising Ways Federal Grant Writing Will Change Now, Insights from a Federal Grant Writer and Reviewer, because she's also a grant reviewer. We've also done a grant webinars on preparing for your single audit, webinars on what are internal controls and how they relate to your federal grants. And surprisingly, that one was probably the highest attended webinar. We were very, very surprised. There were almost 300 people that registered. It was a very high turnout rate. So really happy to be able to provide that service. But now let's talk about why a community. Why now? And I posit that 2025 taught us that we need each other to make sense of an uncertain world, right? So we watched the whole federal agency disappear. We learned to edit ourselves, our proposal narratives, and even funded scopes that were already funded. Many of us had to go back and, pull out the words that were now considered restricted. We've all helped each other solve a piece of a growing complex puzzle for our neighbors. And when I say our neighbors, really our colleagues, right? We've extended a helping hand as unfunded projects led to growing unemployment. We've tracked lost funding and tried not to imagine the fallout. That's really important. I think for those of us in the grant space, or quite frankly, any organization or any profession where they understand the impact of grants, I think that's one thing that I think we understand probably better than many other people within the country. We heard rumors that another CBA was closing, right? Maybe you've heard that yet another nonprofit or community-based organization was closing. And again, you tried not to imagine the fallout because what can happen when those services disappear. And you wondered if science and the arts were going to be shrinking because so many research grants were terminated, and many, many, many arts grants, grants from, various federal, what's the National Endowment for the Humanities, and of course, mostly for libraries, and of course, National Endowment for the Arts for many arts organizations. So a community connects people with the same interests and who are on similar paths. That's one of the reasons why we wanted to make sure that we started looking at this thing from a community point of view, not just an individual point of view. And another reason is a community serves as the foundation for online and in real life learning, networking, and shared experiences. And as we dig a little bit more into why a community, why now, another reason is social media group posts are being hijacked by ads and posts get lost. For example, the last time I went into Facebook about 8 or 9 months ago, I very seldom saw posts from people that I was interested in hearing from. It's easier to learn from and keep up with fellow members when you're in a community. There is an opportunity for collaborative problem solving, deeper sense of belonging. You can also learn country-based best practices, and that's part of the reason why we are taking a different approach to our community, the member community, that the learning community that we're going to be sharing more information about. Because we do want people from different parts of the world to be able to join the community. Maybe we can learn, grant-seeking best practices from France or from Egypt or from Indonesia. We really want to understand what's happening there, and of course best practices from Canada and obviously here in the United States. I also think that a community is great for us to be able to contribute our stories, our ideas, and our experiences. So this is where we're going to launch poll number 2. This is the second and last poll. Then we're going to dive into the details, which is what I know that you all are here to learn. So if the team member can go ahead and launch poll number 2, that will be fantastic. Because I'd like to learn from you all what was the biggest challenge. And once that poll comes up, you'll be able to let us know. Start thinking about the biggest challenge that you had last year as it relates to grants. So I'm not sure if Kelly or Shwana, if you guys will be able to launch that second poll. But just, we had several last year. And, some of the choices, once that poll launches, were, some of the changes that we had to adjust to in terms of federal. There we go. There we go. There's the second poll. If you can please complete that. What was the biggest challenge you experienced in grants in 2025? Keeping up with grant cancellations. Let me see if I can expand that. Trying to understand new relevant federal policies and executive orders and relevant executive orders. Elimination of USAID and other agency transformations. Nonprofits and other organizations losing their funding. Having to remove restricted words from your funded grants or from your upcoming applications. And then understanding how AI impacts grant seeking. That's also something that is very important for us to think about. So I'd love to see where this pans out in terms of the results. And of course, I'm going to share that information with you guys. So we're going to close the poll in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And Vanessa, you just joined us. I don't know if you've had a chance to participate in the poll, but would love for you to be able to participate as well. Let me go ahead and share the results. All right, so it looks like trying to understand relevant federal policies and executive orders one big time. It looked like almost 50%. Another large amount went to nonprofits and other organizations losing funding, and of course their services being impacted. Another one was, of course, keeping up with the federal grant cancellations. And no one said having to remove restricted words. I guess you just did it and you kept it moving, right? And then, of course, understanding how AI impacts grants, or grant seeking specifically. So I'm going to stop sharing and we're going to dive into the details for you. So we're now going to address the elephant in the room, right? So Patrice, we already have the Grant Professionals Association. I'm a member. I am an active member. I enjoy the GPA. Hey, Patrice, we already have the National Grant Management Association. I'm a member. I will continue to be a member. absolutely love these organizations. What we're proposing is not an alternative to GPA or NGMA or any of the other grant professions, associations related to the grant profession. What we're proposing is something that is in addition to or augments those existing spaces. And I think you'll see why. So the Global Grant Collective exists to host a community of grant professionals around the world. The community is a container for grant professionals who want to deepen their knowledge of how to obtain, manage, and maximize grant funding. They believe that grant management is a way they can increase their experience and their expertise, right? So if you're a grant writer and you've always wanted to understand a little bit more about the post-award side of things, this is a great container to be able to do that. If you're a grant consultant, you want to learn how you can increase your earning potential, and I'll show you the ways that we have that built into the programming. You want to understand that there is less competition for grant managers. Again, if you're a grant writer and maybe you want to include some grant management into the services that you offer, this is a great place to be able to do that. You want to expand your expertise beyond the U.S. for those of you who are considering that. Right? And I know quite a few people who are doing that. You are a non-U.S. grant professional who wants to learn how to tap into federal grants, or a U.S.-based grant professional who wants to learn about EU government grants, right? So the Global Grant Collective is an exciting goals-centered subscription-based learning community for grant professionals around the world. You will set and achieve goals. You will have access to exclusive member events, and I'm going to show you the events we already have lined up for you. You will expand your knowledge and your network. You will earn continuing education units because several of our training programs are NASBA, GPCI, and CFRE certified. Your voice should be heard. You also have an opportunity to pitch to lead member-only events. So this is something that's going to be co-led between our members and, of course, GrantsWorks itself. So rather than a lot of the programming being one directional, we're coming to you with our programming. We give you an opportunity to not only pitch things that you know would be of value, but then you also get an opportunity to actually lead some of those sessions as well. And for grant consultants, you will mastermind with other business owners to level up your firm. All right, so this is great for grant writers, grant administrators, sponsored research administrators, grant consultants, former federal officials. I personally know a former federal official who is very interested in becoming a consultant to support organizations. He was very, very integral in the process of the award, basically the awarding process before the agency actually extended the awards to the funded organizations. And there's a lot of information about the risk analysis that they do and quite a few things that they do on the administrative side that he wants to be able to support organizations to do. So this is definitely a space for them as well. US-based and international grant professionals and early career grant professionals. What it is not, as I mentioned before, we do not want to replace your existing professional associations. As a matter of fact, we would like to partner with them. There are local chapters of the GPA that would be able to have their members join and get a ton of training, and that helps relieve them, quite frankly, of some of the training responsibilities that many of them have taken on. So for early stage professionals, you're new to the grant space, you get to access potential mentors, fast track your learning, avoid costly career mistakes. You get a shortcut to credibility, so to speak. You get to find your people, and you don't have to worry about asking the quote unquote stupid questions. There are no stupid questions, as I always say. For the grant consultant, you know that your knowledge is your product, right? You know your time is your currency. You may want to reposition your service offering. So maybe you will want to mastermind with other grant consultants such as myself and other grant consultants that I am good friends with, and we can figure out ways to really, and sometimes collaborate, and also, of course, co-host information sessions such as this. You want to position your firm for other markets, and maybe this is a great place for you to find that out. And of course, you want to stay ahead of regulatory changes. For the grant writer, this is where we're, pitching that maybe you don't want to just win the grant. You want to also ensure success by, again, increasing your knowledge of post-award management. You want to bridge the gap between pre and post-award. You want to retain your clients for the entire grant life cycle rather than only on the grant writing side. And of course, you want, of course, access post-award specialists. So the collective includes, again, exclusive monthly member only events. So as I mentioned earlier, we used to offer monthly webinars every month. We would prepare, spend a ton of time preparing these webinars. Some of the webinars were paid, most were complimentary. And then we realized, we were really sharing a lot of information about what we do. What if we could find a way to still have, still prepare all this information, but put it in a container so that people could actually not only attend the webinar and then go away, but attend the webinar and then have discussions afterwards and share resources afterwards so that, again, we can enhance that learning experience. You get to join a community of like-minded professionals. You get a curated and shared resource library. Our team and I were talking about all the different tools that we have that we use for some of our engagements that we create sometimes for one particular client. And sometimes we find out that that would be helpful for all of our clients. Network with grant professionals, learn, much of the things that I said before. You will have an opportunity to create country-based subgroups. And then, of course, you get to coordinate local meetups in person. I mentioned before, we really want to see what we can do to coordinate in real life meetups. So maybe we have 10 members from the Atlanta area. They decide that, hey, we want to meet up and we want to accomplish this thing together. You can certainly do that because this container allows you to do that. You get access to all of GrantsWorks Academy training, and then you get deep discounts to our certified and accredited training. One of them being the Federal Grant IQ Training Series, which is certified by the National Association for the State Boards of Accountancy. So if you're an accountant or any kind of finance professional and you're a member of NASBA, you can get 6.5 CEUs from this training. For Federal Grant Simplified, you get education points from the CFRE and GPCI, and Grant IQ for faculty. This is something that's new and we can't wait to share it with you. And we'll actually share quite a bit of information very, very soon. It's a 5-video training series for early career researchers and early faculty who want to better understand, just quite a few things that we cover in this training. So I'm going to leave that there for now, but it's very in-depth, and it's something that some of our, at least one of our university clients has said that we're very, very, very interested in. So here are some of our upcoming events. Again, our webinars will no longer be offered monthly to the general public. They are now all going to be offered in the membership. We will offer 4 paid webinars to the public, but everything else, all of our other monthly webinars, will be in this container. The first webinar that's coming up at the end of the month, Going Global as a Grant Professional, Building Your International Career in a Post-USAID Landscape, right? And so Kelly's going to be talking not just about, how to go global, how to, build your career, but she's going to be talking about the differences between a U.S. federal grant and grants from the from 1 or 2 European Union countries, and just trying to really help folks understand that. And so she has experience managing these grants, and so she'll be able to, again, lay this out. This isn't something that is typically done. So just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of what we have in store. Then for those that are interested in grant writing, transitioning from writing foundation grants to federal grants, this will be presented by Claire. She's a grant writer on our team. And then again, for the grant writers, how to achieve and maintain your GPC. This will be presented by Karen Lampert, one of the contracting grant writers that we work with. Awesome partner. So we'll keep that going. Then we're going to have monthly Ask Us Anythings, right? So that's when you get to come to us and ask us anything you'd like. The first one will be just next week on the 22nd, next Thursday. And so the three of us are going to basically be available to you to answer any questions about any of your grant writing questions and or grant management questions. This is your opportunity to speak directly to experienced grant consultants who've been in the game for, at least I've been in the game for 20 years. Kelly's been doing this for 8 years, and then, or maybe 9 years. Kelly, correct me if I'm wrong. And of course, Claire's been a grant writer for 14 years. We do plan on mixing this up. It's not just going to be the three of us. Maybe in February, I'll ask one of my grant consultant friends to come and join us. So we do plan on mixing this up. It won't be just the three of us. We do plan on, again, making space for you to be able to have two-way conversations with folks rather than one-directional webinars. We do plan on having an exclusive member launch event on the 28th, and I'm excited about that. That's going to be a lot of fun. I do also want to point out that, you know, this program includes challenges, different things that we're going to do to make sure that we keep folks engaged and learning, right? So the goal is community engagement and learning. You're going to get everything in one container. But there are levels to this. So there's tier 1, right? So you get everything we just talked about. Tier 2 are going to be folks that, again, get to participate in that monthly Ask Us Anything. They get deeper discounts on our premier training. They get access to our private consultants corner. And that's when, of course, grant consultants get together and, you know, basically, you know, let's call it, I'll just say, discuss some of the things that are very specific to our world. And of course, priority access to speaking and training collaborations. So the founding members, the first 50 people who sign up are our founding members, and you get a 20% discount, lifetime discount on the membership fee. So I'm going to pause to see if anyone has any questions so far. I think I see some things in the chat. Any questions before we keep going? No? Now, I do want to pause and you know, again, imagine you are an association, or maybe you are a nonprofit, you have several grants folks on your team, you're a state government agency, you have a team of grant professionals, or a large nonprofit. Again, this is a great way for your team members to be able to come join the community and get access to certified training. And so I just want to make sure you guys are really thinking about some of the potential for this. So there are 4 phases. When you join, you will come in as and for the first 30 days, you will come in and basically be at the foundational level. Some of the training you'll have access to are the Federal Grant Simplified Masterclass, Surprising Ways Federal Grants Will Change, Let's Get Grant Ready. This is 3 of 6 training programs that you'll have access to. Then and then of course the next 30 days you graduate to a practitioner, and then you'll get access to, there's no I in federal grants. This is where we talk about how federal grants should, or you know, some of the ways that we recommend that federal grants are managed within an organization. I always pause to talk about this because this is something that's so important. I've seen, because of the work that we do, we've seen federal grants managed in different ways. We've seen organizations take their $10 million federal grant and give it to the program director and say, hey, you manage this, right? And if you're one of those organizations, I'm just going to give you a free tip. Your program manager is an SME, a subject matter expert for the program. They should not be the one responsible for making sure that the organization complies with that grant, unless they have grant management experience. But I see this quite a bit, and it causes problems, and I'm coming off now of my, I'm going to stop talking about that, but that's something I see quite a bit. And so this particular training talks about different ways that federal grants, to optimize federal grant management within an organization. You get that within the next 30 days of your membership. Another training you get access to is navigating grant-funded procurement. The other one is requirements for pass-through entities, right? And again, this is 3 of 6 training programs that you get as a practitioner. So do you see how, as you stay within the organization, within the collective, you're increasing your knowledge over time? As a strategist, which is, now you're in there for 60 or more days, you get access to training. One of them is let's review adequate documentation. And this is a huge One, this is something that we do quite a bit with our clients, and that is to help them understand what is the documentation that they should be using to substantiate various costs that are charged to a federal grant. Okay. Then there is federal grants policies and procedure. That is policies and procedures. So now you understand, okay, these are the policies and procedures we need to create. And then we'll also share one of our templates with you so that you can actually start building, policies and procedures for your organization. And then there's how to develop and implement a subrecipient monitoring process. So you see now you're moving from just, foundational information to becoming a practitioner to now being a strategist and then becoming a leader. So now you have access to training. Then these are all trainings that exist within GrantsWorks Academy. Grant accounting best practices, federal grantee audit responsibilities, what are internal controls and how they relate to your federal grants. So by, let's say, 90 days or more, this is the training that you get access to. So I'm hoping that you guys are aware. You can definitely make sure that you post questions in the chat. Our team member is monitoring the chat so that you can, we can certainly answer those questions that you may have. So as you can see, again, it's like I said, it's community, it's engagement, and it's learning, right? So we want to make sure that we present something different. It's not one directional. It's not, it's not flat. It's something where you want to join, you want to log in every day to learn what's happening. I'll be in there almost every day, sharing information, sharing news. If you guys know me, if you follow me on LinkedIn, you know that I like to share news about federal grants. I actually have a podcast called the Federal Grants Explained Podcast, and putting the pieces together, as I was sharing with a good friend of mine that is on this webinar. This is what I love to do. I literally love to put together episodes of the Federal Grants Explained podcast. As I mentioned before, several of our training programs are GPCI, accepted education by GPCI. That's the Grant Professional Certifications Institute. Then also the Certified Fundraising Executive. We have training that's also accepted by them as well. And then by, again, the National Association for the State Boards of Accountancy. And so, yes, we are a member of the National Registry of CPE sponsors. So we take our training seriously. All right, so a little bit more about us, just in case, again, you've never participated in any of our webinars, you don't know anything about us. So I have here quoted by the Chronicle of Philanthropy. That has been one of my highlights. I was also contacted by the New York Times to provide some insight on things that were happening with Doge data. Or with Doge when they were accessing our data. So that's been one of my highlights so far. I've written many guest articles and on the GrantsWorks website, written a number of blogs as well. I've appeared on multiple podcasts. On our team, we have writers, compliance consultants, speakers, and trainers. And of course, as I mentioned before, we host monthly webinars. So we do federal grants, right? We don't just, we do it, we understand it, we live and breathe it. So we have 2 certified grant management specialists on our team. So that will be me and Kelly, who's off screen. Again, I'm the host of the Federal Grants Explained podcast. We offer the certified training and everything else I've shared here before. Maybe you guys have learned about GrantsWorks because you subscribe to the Federal Grants Insights LinkedIn newsletter. That's a newsletter that I write. Haven't written one recently, y'all. I'm a little bit behind with, but just wanted to make sure you all knew a little bit more about the work that we do as well. So how you can join, you can register today, and team member Shwana is going to drop the information. So this is the monthly subscription. It's $59. So being able to access all of that training at only $59 a month for tier 1 and $99 a month for tier 2. But instead of paying that full amount today, you will get 20% off starting today. And if you're one of the first 50 people who join, it's 20% off every single month for the duration, for the entire lifetime of your membership. So if someone can calculate, so that's basically $12 off of the $59 membership fee. And then obviously that's, $20 off of the $99 tier 2 membership fee. And so I believe Shwana has dropped in the chat the links where you can actually go right now and log in. Once you register, you will immediately be taken to, there are certain things that you'll have to complete. We do have a little checklist in there, but then you'll have immediate access to at least the first phase of training, as I mentioned before. So you'll have access to Federal Grants Simplified, and some of the other training programs that we mentioned. And then, the next month you'll then have access to 6 more. So we really are trying to make sure that it truly is a learning opportunity for those of you who are on the call. It is possible to pay for an annual membership rather than monthly. Absolutely. So Erica, on that, on the checkout page, there is a annual membership button, and so you do have that option. So you can certainly do that there, because that annual membership will be great for teams. Again, if you lead a team of grant professionals, or maybe you're an executive director and you want a membership for your team so they can learn more about what it takes to get a grant, right? What it takes to manage a grant, what it takes to be prepared for a single audit, just in case your organization is single audit eligible. What does it take to properly document your costs? Or maybe you're interested in learning about, grants from other parts of the world. Or maybe you are, again, here joining us because you're from another part of the world. You want to learn a little bit more about U.S. federal and other government grants. Not just government grants, by the way. We are going to be, of course, making sure that we have training about how to get foundation grants as well. So I'm going to see what questions you all have. But yes, so you get quite a bit for this low monthly cost. But this is great for GPA chapters. If you guys want to kind of, round up all the training, have your team, have your members, maybe approach it in a cohort approach. Maybe you guys say, okay, hey, we're going to pay for everyone, or we of course would be willing to have conversations about how we can offer additional considerations for folks, organizations that are member-based organizations, so that their members can access this portal as well. So I'm going to pause to see if anyone has any questions. While you guys are doing that, I do want you guys to follow me on LinkedIn, where you can learn a little bit more about some of the things that we do. But I do think, really focusing on, what this program has to offer. I definitely want to make sure I do that. Let's see here. Let's see some of the questions. Kelly, you want to go ahead and let me know one piece that isn't there is that we had to do more with less. Yes, Erica, absolutely. I've been looking for a community like this. Yay, Stephanie. Guys, I did not pay Stephanie to write that. Okay.
Patrice, we do have a few questions that have come in as well.
Sure.
So Daphne asks, how do you define a grant consultant compared to a grant writer?
Great question. So a grant writer writes, that's a good question. So the way that we define ourselves is that we are grant consultants, because we go beyond writing the grant, we go beyond finding the grant, we go beyond researching the grant. We provide grant strategy. We help an organization really think not just about their grant seeking, exactly what grants they're going to be pursuing. We help them think a little bit broader. We help them think about collaborative partnerships. We help them we help them to initiate some of those partnerships. We really, again, it's really consulting. It's advisory support on anything related to grants, and goes beyond, writing the grant, or, as I mentioned, anything having to do with grant writing. I hope I answered that question. Probably not the best. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that helped me understand how you are thinking about the difference between the two. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also, please also understand that we are also post-award specialists. So this firm was initially started as a firm specializing in post-award management of grants. So we would manage our clients' grants, their government grants. We would make sure that they were compliant. We would make sure that they modified internal processes in order to be able to remain compliant. We would help them. Prepare for a site visit. We would make sure that they were prepared for the single audit, and all of that is both advisory support, but also implementation support. And so we see grant consultant in a basically, again, across the entire grant life cycle. So hopefully that does explain the answer a little bit more. I'm ready for the next question.
Awesome. So Erica has a question around the price points. Are there different price points for organizations and individuals?
No, so that's a great question. So an organization, let's say an organization has 20 individuals that want to join, then they would, the price point is for each person. And so each person would pay the that fee. Now we are considering an enterprise wide membership level so that an organization can join and up to 10 of them on that one let's call it membership subscription. But the thing is, we want each person, and there's a way that we can do that because we used to do this. We've actually used this portal for a number of things for our clients. We had a client that had 100 organizations in a particular cohort or two cohorts, and so there are ways that we can accommodate one membership for multiple people. So if that's something you're considering, definitely reach out to us.
Awesome. We have another question from Daphne as well. Is the program ideal for grant professionals who mainly secure funding from private and corporate funders?
Great. So Daphne, that's a great question. So I would have to say that yes, there will be training sessions and resources for people who specialize in securing funding from private and corporate funders. I will have to say, though, that the bulk of it is going to be currently centered on federal, state, and local government grants, because there's just so much information that we've created over time on that topic. So if you are a person who wants to know a little bit more about what it takes to get a state or local or federal government grant, this is going to be an excellent container for you to be able to do that, because again, we start with phased in training so that you learn the fundamentals, then you move on to practitioner level, so you're not going to be overwhelmed. And then we use different challenges within the portal to motivate you to move forward. There's gamification in here, guys. There are different things that we're going to be doing to just move things along. So just want to make sure that you guys are aware of that. Any other questions?
Yes, we have one more question that hasn't been answered yet. This is from L'Oreal, and I think it's related to the slide that we had earlier around the four phases. But L'Oreal's question is, how do we leverage our membership in our portfolio? Are you a member of the foundation until you become a practitioner, strategist, or leader?
I'm not sure if I understand. So basically, do you want to know, L'Oreal, do you move from yes, so you are. So it is sequential. So yes, everyone that comes in will start at the foundation level, because what we've done is we've kind of coded it so that certain training programs are going to be, something you have immediate access to as a foundation person. Then day 31, you now have access to another 6. Now you've shifted into the practitioner phase, so to speak. And we are going to be building in, again, different incentives to make sure that as people transition, so it is going to be a timed transition, not based on if you quickly completed, the 5 to 6 training sessions. Does that answer your question?
Sorry, I'm a little under the weather, but I just wanted to know, is this how we would affiliate ourselves with the community? So on our LinkedIn, when we associate ourselves with the GrantWorks community, would we just be a member before we become a strategist or a leader?
No, 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 no. Actually, that's a great question, and like that is a good question and something I hadn't considered, L'Oreal. So maybe you're giving us a great idea. We basically assigned these phases as a way to make sure that folks weren't coming in and really not getting the benefit of the program because they had access to the higher level and the more foundational level training at the same time. That's when people lose focus, because now you're looking at a training about grant accounting before you even understand the fundamentals. So you've given me an idea. So I appreciate you asking the question, because I do want to also point out we do have a feedback session scheduled for early February. We want you all to help us build something that fits your needs. So I'm going to just go ahead and put that in my back pocket as something to consider. But yes, you can absolutely look at, we are going to look into ways that we can tie, you know, so less more structure, so to speak, to these phases and more definition to these phases. All right, I think I see another question. Is it possible to pay for an annual membership? Yes. Okay. All right, L'Oreal saying thank you. Any other questions? Any other questions? So again, remember the first 50 people, you get 20% off your membership fee for the lifetime of the time that you're actually going to be here. And again, once you log in, you get instant access to the training, instant access to the member. There is a member space where you can communicate with each other. Just you see this as sort of I hate to use the word Facebook, as a Facebook for grant professionals. Again, it's not a listserv. It's not just a question and answer kind of format. It is meant to really foster community, foster engagement, and definitely facilitate learning. So I'm going to go back on camera. Any other questions? Any questions for me about, I'm here, y'all. I'm going to be here. What time is it? I have a meeting. I have some time. So if you have any questions for me or about this program, please use this as an opportunity to answer that. If not, please go ahead, scan, and I didn't get a chance to test this. I almost always test these things. Scan to connect on LinkedIn. So if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, you can certainly do that. But yeah, I'm going to go back to those events because I do think it's important to know that you are going to have access. Again, this is the only way now that we're going to be sharing our expertise. We've been sharing our expertise with a lot of free webinars since 2020, actually. But now we realize the best way to do it is to really share the information and then give people an opportunity to discuss, learn, and then gain access to some of the resources that reinforce what you've learned. So again, on January 29th, folks that are in the membership can register today. Because as soon as you log in, as soon as you become a member, you log in, you're going to see upcoming events. And so you'll be able to register today for this. You'll also be able to register. You can register for all three, transitioning from writing foundation grants to federal grants. You're going to also, of course, be able to register for this one, how to achieve and maintain your GPC. And of course, ask us anything. You can register for this now as well. The Consultants Corner is coming up on January 30th, and that's the only one that is only available to Tier 2 members. I do want to also point out that for Tier 2, again, you get access to more in-depth, more advanced level topics. And so that's when we'll reach out to our consultant friends and say, hey, you're a grant evaluator. Can you come in and lead a session on, what grant evaluation is? What are some ways that you guys work with how you work with grant writers and funded organizations? Tell us some of the services that you can offer. We've actually partnered with grant evaluators on several grant writing projects. And I do think this is something that I'm happy to be able to present these kinds of opportunities. So I know for sure I'm going to reach out to her and ask her to do an Ask Me Anything. And again, this is going to be for Tier 2 members. All right. All righty.
Quick question.
Yes.
Email contact. How do we, because I have questions and other people may have questions. Who do we contact about this?
I'm going to send you an email in the chat. So you can send an email there.
Okay.
You can also send an email to info@grantsworksacademy.com. All right. So you can send an email there. Again, really look forward to seeing you guys. And I'm going to be logging in about, I have a meeting coming up, but I'm going to be logging in to see who's in there already. Again, look forward to building this over time. And look forward to, again, just trying to be a resource for you guys. So any other questions? If no other questions, I absolutely thank you for spending a part of your day with us. This has been very different for me. I'm used to spitting federal grant regs and all of that. So I'm hoping I was as clear as possible, and that you learned about the benefits of this program through everything that we shared. And if not, please reach out to us via email, and we'll answer your questions as soon as possible. So again, thank you so much.
Patrice, before we sign out, we do have one more question. So Stephanie asks, I would like to pitch being a member to my boss. Are there any resources you can provide to make sure I get that yes?
Great question. So yes, I will. Stephanie, if you can send me an email. Actually, I already have your email address. Everyone that's registered, we have your email address. I'm going to send you an email and get something to you by, I'm going to say by Monday. I typically put a little pressure on myself, but expect something from Monday at the very latest. Actually, you know what? Let me send you, do you mind dropping the landing page? One of the things I realized, yeah, drop the landing page here. Let's, guys, for those of you who are still on here, I just realized we need to get that landing page because there's a lot of information there about what this is. And we will definitely follow up. There it is, Global Grant Collective. I'm actually going to share my screen. I'm going to drop it in the chat, but then I'm going to share my screen as well for those of you who are still here. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and change my share. Stop sharing. And now I'm going to show you more. And you tell me if this does this for you. If sharing this with your supervisor will be helpful. So again, so this is, we can take all this information and put it in another format for you. We'll be more than happy to do that. So this is the page where you can go to learn more about the Grant Collective. This is where you learn about what's in the collective. Again, in-person and online training. I will be offering in-person sessions, by the way, once a quarter, in-person sessions, primarily for grant consultants who may want to, again, so just want to make sure you guys are aware of that. A global professional network, ready to use expert resources. So that's a grant application budget template. That's, just facts and other tips. We have a ton of resources. We don't put all the resources in at the same time because, again, we don't want to overwhelm everyone. And there are going to be some challenges that we build out around those resources. Clarity across the grant lifecycle, and of course, opportunities to share your expertise. Then again, I think what's going to be most important is letting your supervisor know that we're offering accredited and certified training that would lead to actual continuing education units. This is information about the plan. But I do want to provide some more information to you on this page about some of the training that you would have access to, specifically the training that is NASBA, CFRE, and GPCI certified. Okay. All right. So I'm glad that you asked that question so I could share that. Okay, good. So Latira, thank you so much. Nicole, thanks for coming. Stephanie, thank you so much for showing up. Erica, thank you. And Gina and all of you, hope to see you guys in the membership. I'm going to be logging in there soon. And then I'm going to join the conversation. So again, thank you for participating. And team, if you guys can stay on, that will be fantastic. Bye, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.